The air is thick. You feel it before you even open your eyes. A wall of heat presses against your chest, dry but strangely metallic, like sun-baked copper and sand. Your mouth is already parched. The ground beneath you is hard and cracked, littered with stubs of brittle grass. Somewhere nearby, a buzzing swarm of flies circles, something to still. You sit up slowly, dizzy from the sudden brightness. The sky above is endless, pale and shimmering with heat. In the far distance, two wide rivers wind across a flat, unforgiving plain. You see smoke curling above a cluster of structures built entirely from dried mud. No glass, no steel, no sound of machines. Only the distant thump of drums and the rising chant of voices in a language you do not know. This is not a dream. You have traveled backward, far beyond modern history, past the pyramids, past the pharaohs. You have arrived in the dawn of civilization in the brutal and brilliant world of the Sumerians. This is Mesopotamia, the cradle of everything, the beginning of cities, of writing, of organized religion, of law, of war. But it is not a world made for you. Here, you are not special. You are not prepared. You are not welcome. And you will not survive. Time travel is a fantasy that has seduced imaginations for centuries. The idea of stepping into the past and witnessing the birth of civilization sounds noble, thrilling, even romantic. We picture scholars walking among ancient cities, recording their marvels and returning with priceless knowledge. But if you were to actually land in Sumer during the Bronze Age, nothing about the experience would feel like an adventure. It would feel like suffocation. The year is somewhere around 3100 BCE. You have been thrown into one of the oldest urban civilizations on Earth, nestled in the unforgiving floodplains between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. The ground is rich with silt, but every inch of life must be fought for. Crops do not grow without sweat. Water does not flow without labor. Life does not last without favor from the gods. And survival here has never been guaranteed. The people around you have never heard of your language, your world, or your customs. Your clothing marks you instantly as an outsider. Your clean skin, your soft hands, and your modern reflexes betray you. There are no hospitals. There is no government as you know it. Your rights do not exist here. The Sumerians were pioneers, yes. They built cities with towering ziggurats and developed one of the first written languages in the world. Cuneiform, etched into clay tablets. They invented the wheel, divided time into units, and worshipped an elaborate pantheon of gods who demanded constant devotion. But this was not a golden age of enlightenment. This was an age of backbreaking labor, superstition, environmental cruelty, and unrelenting hierarchy. You might admire their architecture. You might be amazed by their ability to organize, trade, and build in such harsh conditions. But admiration is not the same as survival. You do not know how to make fire without a lighter. You do not know how to speak their language, follow their rituals, or navigate their taboos. You cannot farm like them. You cannot fight like them. You cannot obey like them. Every step you take here is a step toward danger. Every glance could be a threat. Every misunderstanding could be your last. And yet, to truly understand the story of humanity, you must first experience how it began, not with comfort, but with struggle. This is the Bronze Age. The first cities are rising. The gods are watching. And for you, the clock is already running out. You feel the heat building again. The chant from the city grows louder. You start walking toward it, unaware that every step takes you deeper into a place that will test your will, your body, and your very understanding of what it means to be human. Welcome to Sumer. Now we begin. The earth beneath your feet crumbles like ancient pastry. Every step you take sends up a puff of tan dust that clings to your skin and seeps into your throat. The heat is not just above you. It radiates from the ground, rises from stone walls, and even seems to pulse from the few plants that line the nearby canal. There is no breeze. Not here. Not now. Only the dry silence of a world that has never known comfort. Somewhere in the distance, a jackal yips once before vanishing behind a dune of dirt and refuse. This is not a city yet, but it is trying to become one. The horizon is jagged with the edges of half-formed buildings. Their shapes are blocky and crude, each one made of sun-dried mud bricks, stacked without symmetry or grace. There are no smooth surfaces, no signs, no instructions. You hear voices, harsh and rhythmic, coming from somewhere beyond the cluster of dwellings. As you approach, you begin to see them. People, dozens of them, thin but strong. Their dark eyes narrow and guarded. Their hair is cut short or wrapped in cloth. Their skin is darker than yours, leathered by generations of exposure. No one greets you. The language hits your ears like static, gutturals, strange, tonal dips. You can't place it, and your brain reaches instinctively for familiar patterns, but finds none. It's not Latin, not Greek, not even related to anything you've ever studied. This is Sumerian, one of the oldest tongues humanity ever spoke, and it may as well be the speech of another species. The people point at you and murmur, suspicion coloring every glance. You are wearing strange clothes. You smell different. You do not know the customs. You are an interruption to their order. A child stares at you while chewing a sliver of roasted date. A man in a goat-hide tunic spits at your feet. You try to ask for help, for direction, for anything, but your words come out like gibberish. Laughter follows. Nervous, sharp, you realize, too late, how alone you are here. You do not know how to signal respect. You do not know where to walk, what to touch, what is sacred and what is forbidden. A low drumbeat begins to thump in the distance. You glance toward the sound and spot a tall structure rising behind the squat homes. A ziggurat, half finished, wrapped in wooden scaffolding. The steps leading up to its summit are wide and steep. You watch a procession of people carrying baskets filled with what looks like grain or ash. They chant as they climb, and at the top, a figure in gleaming cloth lifts something into the air. You hear the dull crack of a whip. Someone screams. Flies swarm around your face. The stench of wet clay and dung is suffocating. You back away instinctively, but there is no away to go to. Behind you is open wilderness, sun-scorched and empty. Ahead is a city that sees you as an error. No one here wants to help you. No one here needs to. A group of men pass you, carrying wooden poles. One of them brushes your shoulder and snarls, a warning in his native tongue. You lower your eyes, instinctively trying to avoid confrontation. But you do not know what submission looks like to these people. Your silence might offend them. Your stillness might be seen as defiance. You hear a word repeated several times. You don't know what it means, but it's being said louder and with increasing aggression. You wonder if it's a command or a curse. You try to move, to leave, but before you can, a hand grabs your arm roughly and spins you around. The man stares at you, searching your face for some signal, some recognition of the order he just gave. You offer none. His fist tightens. In this moment, the path to Ur is not marked. There are no roads as you know them, only a winding series of dirt tracks worn into the landscape by centuries of footsteps. The closer you get, the louder the world becomes. Voices rise in uneven chorus. Hooves strike compacted soil. Pottery clings against wooden carts. And always, always, the drums. Slow and steady, they echo from the city's heart like the pulse of something living and enormous. You follow that sound until the walls of your loom into view. There is no stone here, no marble, no brick carved by stonemasons. Everything in Ur is made from mud, hardened, sun-dried, and stacked by hand. It is not beautiful, it is not clean, but it is alive. The walls sweat in the heat, releasing a dense odor of clay and urine. Sewage trickles through open gutters beside every walkway. Rats dash between piles of refuse, hunting for scraps. A child squats beside a narrow ditch, cupping brown water into her mouth. Inside the city, the temperature rises like a tide. The walls trap heat. The smoke from cooking fires thickens the air, creating a haze that blurs vision and burns your lungs. You cough once, then again. No one reacts. Everyone here is used to the sting. You, however, feel it in your chest like you've swallowed ash. The streets are narrow, claustrophobic even. They wind between leaning homes made of cracked mud bricks, each no taller than a single story, but pressed so tightly together they form canyons of dust. You pass shops without signs, stalls without menus, and temples without names. Everything is coded in symbols you cannot read. People barter in grunts and gestures. There is no currency here. Trade is everything. If you have nothing to offer, you are nothing. Everywhere you look, the people of you move with purpose. A potter stomps clay with bare feet. A woman kneels at a shrine, whispering to a carved figure with owl-like eyes. Two boys chase a goat through the alley, laughing until a man grabs one of them by the ear and scolds him with terrifying calm. You do not belong here. You know that with every step, but you cannot stop walking. You cannot afford to look lost. The smell is indescribable. A mix of roasted barley, burnt meat, stale sweat, wet soil, fermented milk, and the acrid sting of urine-soaked walkways. It sticks to your skin, clings to your clothes, and sinks into your lungs. You try breathing through your mouth, but the air is too thick, too hot. Your tongue dries instantly. You stumble as a donkey cart lurches past. The animal is foaming at the mouth, ribs protruding, its hooves clattering against the uneven ground. The driver doesn't spare you a glance. Behind him, a procession of slaves shuffles forward, chains clinking softly around their ankles. Some carry jars on their heads. Others drag crates. Their backs are striped with fresh welts. At the city's center stands the ziggurat, the high temple. Its wide base supports multiple terraced levels that rise like a stairway into the sky. Every tier is ringed with priests, servants, and guards. Ropes and pulleys lift offerings to the top. You can hear the chanting now, louder than before. A deep, guttural prayer offered to a god you do not know. Perhaps Enlil, perhaps Nana. It doesn't matter. The gods here are not merciful. You try to make sense of the temple layout, to find shelter or aid, but nothing is marked. No map exists. The structure dominates the city like a divine eye, ever watching. You instinctively look for shade, but even the shadows are hot. A young man glances at you, lingers, then moves on. You catch a whisper. Perhaps he's guessed you are a foreigner. Perhaps he thinks you are a runaway. You keep walking. Then you feel it, the shift in attention. Subtle at first, then undeniable. People begin to stare. Not just with curiosity, but with wariness. You are too clean, too soft. You speak too little. You wear no seals of ownership or religious markings. You are not one of them. And in a city like yours, being unknown is dangerous. A vendor throws a piece of stale bread at your feet. Another yells something that causes laughter to ripple down the alley. The meaning is lost on you, but not the tone. You're being warned. You're being sized up. You do not know the rules of this place, but you already know you've broken them. And as the sun reaches its highest point in the sky, the heat becomes unbearable. You feel yourself weakening. Your body is not built for this climate. Your lungs are not used to this air. Your skin, unprotected by the oils and coverings the locals use, begins to burn. You find a shaded corner and collapse against the wall. Your breath shallow and rapid. You are in the heart of civilization, and yet you are utterly alone. No friends, no food, no water, no way out. As you close your eyes, just for a moment, a shadow falls across your face. You open them to see a crowd forming, people whispering, pointing, circling. In a place like Ur, you will need more than luck to survive. You will need a voice. But what if you cannot speak their language? You try again. One word. Any word. Something simple. Help. Your voice cracks as it leaves your mouth, barely audible over the noise of the street. A few nearby vendors glance at you, then return to their work. It means nothing to them. Just sound, noise from a stranger's lips. You try another word, a phrase. You even mimic the chant you heard earlier. But you say it wrong, terribly wrong. A man nearby hears you and recoils as if you had spat in his face. Then he spits in yours. In this place, your silence is a liability, but your speech is a weapon pointed at your own throat. You do not speak Sumerian. You do not know how to form even a greeting. You don't know the word for food or water or friend. You do not even know how to apologize. To the people of yore, you are worse than mute. A guard notices the disturbance. He approaches, his beard oiled and braided, his tunic stained with dust. Bronze gleams at his waist. He barks a question. You raise your hands, open your mouth to explain, but what comes out only worsens the situation. His face hardens. He repeats the question, slower this time, with exaggerated gestures. You shake your head helplessly. To him, that is defiance. Another guard joins him. They circle you, shouting louder now. You try to mime that you mean no harm. You kneel. You bow your head. But there is no shared language. No Rosetta Stone. No translator. This isn't a misunderstanding. This is a confrontation. You are failing a test you did not know you were taking. A small crowd forms. The tension is electric. A boy throws a pebble at you. Laughter follows. Someone else spits again. You hear the word Lugal, then Namtar. You don't know what they mean, but they sound like titles, maybe warnings. One pulls your arm back and looks at your hands, checking for the clay seal that proves a person's place in society. You have none. To them, this confirms what they already suspected. You are either a runaway slave or a foreign intruder. Both are threats. One is property to be reclaimed. The other is an enemy to be punished. Neither is worthy of kindness. The guards shove you down the alley and begin shouting for someone, a scribe, perhaps. The Sumerians rely on record keeping. Cuneiform is their memory. They catalog everything: births, trades, crimes. A man appears carrying a clay tablet and a reed stylus. He looks you over coldly, then begins inscribing something. You realize he is recording your appearance, your arrest, your trespass. Still, you try. A name, a place. I'm not from here, you whisper stupidly. The scribe squints. He writes more. The guards seem angrier now, as if your continued speech is a kind of insult. You are not giving them what they want: confirmation, clarity, guilt, anything. You are no longer a mystery. You are a problem, a dangerous anomaly in a culture that values order, tradition, and ritual above all else. To them, chaos is divine punishment. Outsiders are messengers of disaster. Your presence must be addressed quickly, harshly, publicly. Suddenly, one of the guards shouts something urgent. The crowd shifts. The scribe steps back. The guards grab your arms. You're being pulled forward again. Your feet drag through filth and clay. You are taken to a small, open platform, not far from the ziggurat. A crowd forms again, faster this time. People shout, point, and laugh. You see no one you recognize, no one who might intervene, no one who understands you. The guard holds your arm high. The scribe reads something from the tablet. Then a question is barked directly at you. You don't know the answer. You shake your head. The crowd murmurs with unease. This moment is ritual, a script older than empires. You were supposed to confess, to submit. But your silence, your incomprehension, breaks the pattern. The guards glance at one another. One of them raises his arm. You flinch, bracing for the blow. And then, as quickly as it began, the moment dissolves. A priest appears from the edge of the crowd, robed, painted with ash, wearing a tall headdress. He says something short and decisive. The crowd quiets. The guards hesitate. Then they push you away from the platform, toward the temple steps. You are not being punished, not yet. You are being passed upward. You are someone else's problem now. The gods will decide what happens next. As you ascend the stone steps beneath a burning sun, led by silent guards toward a priest who speaks for unseen gods, you feel it settling deep in your chest. Not fear, but helplessness. And in Summa, the gods are not interested in your confusion. They demand obedience, and sometimes blood. The stone beneath your feet is hot enough to burn through skin. Each step you take up the ziggurat's ancient staircase feels heavier than the last. Your legs ache, your lungs protest, and sweat pours down your spine in a steady stream. But the guards behind you give no reprieve. They say nothing. They don't need to. Their silence is as hard as the stone they walk upon. At the top of the ziggurat, the city unfolds before you. Mud roofs, flickering smoke, and the winding silver of the Euphrates in the distance. But the view offers no relief, because in front of you now stands something more ancient than law, more feared than any king, a temple. You are guided inside. The shift in temperature is immediate. It is cooler here, but the air feels no kinder. It is heavy with incense, ash, and a strange iron tang that lingers on the tongue. Statues line the walls, wide-eyed deities with lion heads, bird wings, and serpents for arms. They are not decorative. They are witnesses, silent, watching, hungry. A priest approaches. His robes are stiff with embroidered patterns that shimmer in the candlelight. His face is painted white, lips black, eyes ringed with dark pigment. He does not look at you like a man looks at another man. He looks at you like one looks at a dead animal, examining, judging, calculating the effort needed to dispose of it. He circles you once, then again, then speaks in low tones you cannot understand. Behind him, two attendants stir a copper basin filled with a dark liquid. They murmur prayers as they lower in a bundle of herbs, then reach toward you. You are stripped to the waist. They rub the liquid across your shoulders, chest, and face. It stings. You do not resist. You have no idea what this ritual means, but you understand enough to know that resistance would be dangerous. This is not medicine. This is preparation. The priest begins a chant. It builds in tempo, joined by the attendants, then by voices from deeper in the temple you had not noticed before.
Oh.
The sound vibrates through the walls. You look around, searching for signs, clues, anything familiar, but there is nothing here for you. This space is a different world, a different reality, a logic you cannot decode. A system built for gods that have never heard your name. You're pushed to your knees. A blade glints in the priest's hand, not raised in threat, but in ritual. He cuts a narrow line into his own palm and lets the blood drip onto a slab before the statue. The chanting swells. The attendants cry out. A goat is brought forward, its neck already nicked and bleeding. Its eyes are wide, rolling. You watch in horror as the priest whispers to it, then slits its throat in a single, practiced motion. The blood pours onto the altar stone and pools at the statue's base. The goat spasms. The priest looks into its eyes as it dies. Then he turns to you. This is not a religion of forgiveness. This is not a religion of metaphor. Here, divinity is real. It requires offerings, sacrifices, and obedience. In Sumer, the gods are not symbols of higher value. They are sovereign forces who walk among men whose hunger must be fed. A failed harvest is a curse. A disease is punishment. An eclipse is a warning. Everything that happens must be explained, and the explanation always ends in ritual. And now you have entered that story, not as a guest, as an anomaly. The priest speaks again. This time, his tone is uncertain. You are not behaving as you should. You have not begged. You have not confessed. You do not weep or call upon their gods. You speak no language the temple knows. You are a spiritual error, and errors must be cleansed. The goat's body is dragged away. The blood on the slab is smeared into a pattern by a boy with trembling hands. You try to stand. The guards press you back down. You try to speak. The words die in your throat. No one here will hear them, and no one would care. The priest lifts the blade again, but this time he does not strike. Instead, he leans in, looks into your eyes, searches your face for signs. He's waiting for a sign from the gods. A gesture, a twitch, a revelation. None comes. So he makes a decision. He waves his hand and speaks a sharp command. You are pulled back to your feet. The guards drag you, not to the altar, but to a stone chamber beneath the temple. A place of waiting, of judgment delayed. They leave you there, alone, in silence. You are not dead, not yet, but only because the gods were not ready to receive you. You sit in the dark, surrounded by ancient walls and the scent of drying blood, your stomach twisting with sickness and dread. You realize, too late, how sacred everything here is, even the water, and you are thirsty, very, very thirsty. The cell is not a prison in the modern sense. There are no bars, no guards watching from behind bulletproof glass, no mattress, no toilet, just stone walls slick with condensation and a cracked clay bowl sitting in the corner, half filled with a liquid the color of rust. You don't know how long it has been since the guards left. Hours, maybe a day. The torchlight from the corridor has gone out. You are alone in pitch black, and you are thirsty. Your throat burns. Your tongue feels swollen. Every breath scrapes down your throat like sandpaper. You try to swallow, but there's nothing left in your mouth. Your body is beginning to rebel. Muscles cramp. Your skin is hot. You sit motionless in the dark, eyeing the bowl of water like it is both treasure and trap. It smells faintly metallic. There is something floating in it. Tiny, thread-like filaments drifting slowly beneath the surface. You gag just looking at it, but your body does not care. Your body wants liquid, any liquid. You lift the bowl and sip. It is warm, slimy. It clings to your lips as you drink, and when it hits your stomach, it turns your insides to acid. You hunch over, clutching your abdomen. But for now, the burning in your throat fades. You can breathe again. You can think. For an hour, it almost feels like relief. Then the pain starts. It begins in your gut, a pressure like someone slowly tightening a fist inside your stomach. Then come the chills. You shiver uncontrollably even as sweat drips from your face. Your muscles begin to spasm. Your vision blurs. You fall to the floor, curl into yourself, and vomit. You've just encountered one of the deadliest threats of Bronze Age life, the water. In Sumer, the rivers were sacred. The Tigris and Euphrates gave life to the land, carved it into something fertile. But they were also sewers. Every waste pit, every slaughterhouse, every sacrifice flowed back into the rivers. There were no filtration systems, no understanding of germs, no knowledge of bacteria. Disease didn't have a name. It had a punishment. The gods were blamed. The sick were cursed. The remedy was prayer, not penicillin. You feel it now, something deep and parasitic spreading through your bloodstream. 1,000 microbes, invisible and ancient, colonizing your body. Infections that modern medicine has long since erased are thriving inside you. Dysentery, jardises, typhoid. You have no immunity to this world. You are not of it. Your clean 21st century immune system is defenseless here. Outside the temple, the city lives on. People drink the same water, yes, but they were born here. Their bodies were carved by years of exposure. Even then, they do not escape. Child mortality is high. The elderly rarely exist. Sickness sweeps through you in waves. It does not need to explain itself. It does not warn. It just arrives. And it lingers. A priest finally returns. He peers into the cell, sees you on the ground, sees the empty bowl. He does not offer pity. He does not speak. He closes the door and walks away. The hallucinations begin soon after. Your fever climbs. Your thoughts unravel. You try to recall your own name, but it slips from your mind like water from a cracked jar. The ceiling breathes. The floor spins. Shadows crawl along the walls. You see faces that are not there, people from your own time, staring at you with blank expressions, as if waiting for you to say something that will never come. You try to stand, but your legs collapse beneath you. You cry out. No one answers. Outside the door, the city chants to gods you cannot name. Children play with clay dolls. Farmers argue in the market. The world continues without you. It always did. You were never supposed to be here. And now, your body knows it. As the fever tightens its grip and your vision tunnels, you realize the truth of this world. Survival isn't about strength. It's about adaptation. And you are already too late. But in the city of yore, if you cannot survive on your own, there is only one option left. Let someone else own you. Your body is still shaking when they drag you out. Two men, neither young nor kind, haul you by the arms down the temple steps. Your legs barely move. You try to speak, to beg, to protest, but no one listens. Words are irrelevant here. Value is measured in work, not voice. And right now, you are about to earn your place or die without one. The men throw you onto a cart filled with others who look like they were also once strangers. You smell infection. You hear coughing, wheezing, low groans of hunger. No one makes eye contact. No one reaches out. You are part of a cargo now, not people. The cart rolls toward the outer fields. Out here, Ur's shape fades into silhouettes of walls and smoke. And what remains is farmland, long, low plains crisscrossed by canals, steaming in the afternoon sun. The air buzzes with insects. The sky is colorless and punishing, and the land, though fertile, is merciless. You are tossed from the cart and given a crude tool, a wooden hoe so worn its handle is splintered and a blade nearly flat. A man shouts instructions, but you don't understand. Then he gestures. He wants you to dig. The soil is heavier than it looks. It clumps with moisture, clings to your hands, clogs your breathing. Your muscles scream with each motion, untrained for this kind of work. There are no gloves, no water breaks, just sun and sweat and the knowledge that stopping will be seen as refusal. And refusal earns punishment. The first time you pause, someone shouts. A small stone hits your back. You start digging again. Faster this time. Your hands blister within the hour. You cannot feel your toes. Your vision pulses with heat. Around you, others dig in silence. Most are thin, sun-leathered, hollow-eyed. Some are children. A few wear iron collars. You begin to understand this isn't a day's labor. This is survival. You work or you do not eat. You obey or you disappear. At sunset, you are herded toward a makeshift shelter. Not a home, just a long, low structure with a sloped roof of woven reeds. Inside, the ground is damp and cold. You are given a bowl of something resembling porridge. Ground barley mixed with dirty water and maybe a trace of salt. It tastes like mildew. You eat every bite. You drink nothing after last time. As night falls, your muscles begin to cramp. You curl up on the floor, surrounded by strangers who don't speak and don't sleep. The stench is overwhelming. It's the smell of overworked bodies, of untreated wounds, of excrement just outside the walls. You try to rest, but something is crawling on your skin. Maybe a beetle, maybe a flea. You slap it away and close your eyes. Outside, someone screams. Then silence. You don't ask why. This is your life now. In the Sumerian world, labor is not a path to prosperity. It is a means to avoid death. The city of Ur feeds itself with fields like these, and those fields require bodies. Many of them broken, desperate, and invisible. There are no contracts, no wages. You have no papers, no status, no family. You are a temporary asset, valued only while your back still bends and your hands still bleed. And tomorrow, it begins again. As you lie in the dark, surrounded by moaning bodies and the slow drip of canal water leaking through the roof, a new fear begins to form, not of death, but of permanence. Because if you are not a citizen, you are not a worker. You are something else. You are property. You are awoken not by light, but by pain. A wooden staff strikes your side before the sky has even begun to lighten. You groan, but no one helps. The others are already rising, crawling to their feet with stiff limbs and blank expressions. Your muscles protest with every movement. Your hands are blistered. Your legs feel like they no longer belong to you. You don't speak, you don't ask, you follow. But today, you are not led back to the fields. Instead, you are herded into the back of a different cart. The driver mutters to himself, glancing at you like a merchant evaluating livestock. You sit beside a woman whose head is shaved and whose arms are marked with scarred branding. She does not look at you. Her eyes are gone, two pale sockets covered by gauze. You wonder if she was punished or simply broken. The cart rolls through the edge of the city and stops near a market plaza. Unlike the center of yore, this space feels older, quieter. There are no bright fabrics, no colorful pottery, no roasted meats on display. Only bodies. Rows of people bound at the wrists or ankles, standing still as men walk by to inspect them. Some are young, some are gray-haired, some are children. A few are already sobbing. Most say nothing. You are placed among them. No one tells you what's happening. You already know. Here, ownership is the foundation of life. In Sumer, a man's wealth is measured not just in grain or livestock, but in people. Slaves are everything: farmhands, scribes, cooks, concubines, priests, assistants, temple laborers. Foreigners like you are especially valuable because they are detached from local loyalties. You have no family to claim you, no debt holder to negotiate your worth. You are a blank slate, which means you are cheap. A man approaches, older, with a thick beard, fingers stained with clay. He squints at your face, presses a thumb into your arm, checks your teeth. You do not protest. You do not flinch. It wouldn't matter if you did. The exchange is brief. A pouch of barley is passed from one hand to another. You are handed a leather cord to wear around your neck. Your price is written in symbols you can't read. You now belong to him. The man does not speak to you on the walk back. He doesn't beat you, but he doesn't acknowledge your presence either. To him, you are not a person. You are labor, like a cart, like a shovel, something to be used. His home is not luxurious. A single room dwelling with reed mats, 2 goats, and a sullen child who watches you with more curiosity than fear. The man points to the corner. That is where you will sleep. He points to a stack of clay pots. That is where you will work. For the next several days, your existence narrows to one task: carrying, mixing, and shaping mud for pottery. You do not know how to do it. He shows you once. When you get it wrong, he does not correct you. He strikes you. You learn quickly. At night, you are fed stale bread and water. You are not allowed to leave. You are not spoken to unless ordered. You are not permitted to rest when tired. When you collapse from exhaustion, he ties your ankles with rope while you sleep. This is routine. There are no legal rights for you, no system of appeal, no official name. You are not even considered you anymore. The city does not care that you came from another time. The gods do not see you as special. History will not remember your name. And if you die here, your bones will be swept into a ditch with the others. You had imagined ancient civilization as a place of discovery and wonder. But in truth, it is a machine. And you are now one of its cogs. As you press wet clay into a mold with shaking hands, you hear a commotion outside, a dispute, a theft, an accusation. In Sumer, there is law, but it is not law as you know it. It is harsh, immediate, and final. And soon, you will learn that ignorance is no defense in a world governed by the gods and ruled by the code. You hear it before you see it, shouting, dozens of voices raised in panic and fury. Then the sound of something heavy hitting stone. Repeatedly, crowd has gathered outside your master's dwelling. And although you are not permitted to leave, the noise draws you to the entrance. You peek through the wooden slat and freeze. A man is on his knees, his hands bound behind his back. Blood pours from his mouth. His clothes are torn. 2 guards flank him, each holding a thick wooden rod stained with use. Around them, onlookers murmur. Some seem indifferent. Others are clearly enjoying the spectacle. Above them, perched on a raised platform, sits a scribe with a clay tablet and stylus, recording every moment as if it were a transaction. The charge is theft. You can't understand the words, but the gestures make it clear enough. Someone's pot of grain is missing. This man was seen near it. There was no trial. There was no investigation. There was only accusation, and now judgment. A 3rd guard steps forward and lifts a curved knife. You want to look away. You don't. The man's hand is held out, trembling. With one swift motion, the blade slices downward. He screams, but no one moves to help. Blood spatters the stone. The severed hand is dropped into a small jar beside the scribe, who scratches new symbols into his tablet. Justice in Sumer is not abstract. It is not philosophical. It is ritualized consequence. The Code of Ur-Nammu, one of the oldest legal systems in human history, is clear, brutal, and precise. Steal something, lose your hand, harm another man's wife, be killed, refuse to obey your superior, be beaten or enslaved. There are no second chances, no appeals, no empathy, only order. You remember the things you've already done wrong. Drinking unclean water without permission. Wandering the city without a seal of identity. Speaking strange words in sacred places. Any one of those offenses could have justified punishment under the law. The only thing saving you was that no one understood what you were. They do now. That evening, your master returns in a foul mood. His son was caught fighting in the marketplace. The matter must be settled before a local judge. You are forced to accompany him, carrying his belongings and waiting silently as he approaches. A small gathering of elders seated beside the temple gate. There is no courtroom, no robes, no defense. The men speak in low voices. The boy stands with his head bowed, eyes fixed on the ground. Then a decision is reached. The boy is to be caned. Not because he started the fight, but because the gods are displeased with the chaos. Order must be restored through pain. The boy nods and accepts the punishment. You carry him home. That night, your master barely speaks. He eats in silence. Then turns to you and tells you to kneel. He speaks slowly, deliberately, and points to your feet. Then his eyes narrow. You realize he is giving you a command, likely something you didn't understand or follow earlier. You try to respond, try to mimic compliance, but your hesitation angers him. He strikes you. Then he repeats the command. Louder, you obey. Clumsily, he shakes his head, sighs, then points to the leather cord around your neck. He pulls it off, takes a stylus, and carves something new into it before handing it back. You do not know what it says, but he has changed your identity. In Sumer, a person is not who they are. They are what their seal says they are. And now, you belong to a man with the right to alter your status with a scratch of clay. You lie awake that night, every part of your body sore, your thoughts spinning. In the modern world, you believed law meant protection. Here, law is not for you. It exists to preserve hierarchy, to keep the gods satisfied, and to ensure that power stays exactly where it already is. You are not a citizen. You are not a worker. You are not even a human being with legal standing. You are a consequence waiting to happen. The air in your hut is thick and suffocating. As night falls, the only light comes from a torch outside, flickering like a dying star. In your darkness is more than the absence of sun. It is a space filled with things unseen and unwelcome. And without fire, you will not make it to morning. Night comes quickly in your. One moment, the sky is a muted bronze. The next, it turns black as wet ink. There is no gradual fade, no twilight haze, only a sudden extinguishing of warmth and color. You sit in the corner of your master's hut, knees pulled to your chest, eyes straining to find shapes in the dark. You had forgotten how total darkness could feel, how thick, how alive. This is not the calm stillness of night as you knew it. This is a suffocating blindness where every sound becomes a threat. There is no electricity, no soft hum of background machines, no glow from screens or distant street lamps. The only light comes from fire, controlled, precious, and sparse. Your master has one oil lamp. He extinguished it the moment he finished eating. Firewood is too valuable to waste. Clay oil is costly. Flame is reserved for necessity. You are not one. Outside, the wind picks up. It stirs the sand into whispering spirals that slip beneath the cracks in the walls. You hear the low grumble of distant animals, goats bleating, dogs barking, something else growling. Somewhere across the alley, a baby cries, followed by the sharp slap of an exhausted parent trying to silence it. Then silence again, heavy, thick. You can't sleep. Every creak of the structure makes your body tense. You imagine someone outside, watching, waiting. You remember what your master said earlier. A phrase you didn't understand, but one he punctuated by pointing at the door and raising a finger to his lips. A warning, a rule, a threat. You still don't know. In this world, the night does not promise peace. It brings danger. Bandits prowl the city outskirts, looking for unguarded homes. Jackals sneak through the alleys in search of weak prey. Criminals, real and imagined, use the cover of darkness to settle scores, to steal food, to silence witnesses. The city's legal system may be harsh, but it is not omnipresent. There are no patrols, no emergency calls. No one comes when you scream. You think about lighting something, anything, but there is no match, no lighter, no switch. Fire here is not a convenience. It is a skill, a tradition, a tool passed down through ritual. Starting a flame from nothing requires patience, dry material, and time. You have none of these. You are as blind as the first humans must have been when the sun disappeared for the first time. Your ears become your only eyes. You count the sounds. A pot breaking. Someone coughing. Something heavy being dragged across the dirt. Your own heartbeat. Then you hear footsteps close. You freeze, afraid to breathe. The steps stop just outside the wall. You hear someone whisper something low. Then a hand slaps against the door. You don't move. You hear it again and again. The door doesn't open. After several agonizing seconds, the sound fades. The steps retreat. You are alone once more. But the fear does not leave. You realize that in this world, light is not just useful, it is sacred. It is warmth. It is protection. It is control. Without it, you are nothing. The darkness belongs to animals, to spirits, to those who wish to harm. Even within your own shelter, you are not safe. You sleep in the open, with no lock, no barrier, no alarm. Your protection comes from obscurity. You are not important enough to be guarded. You are barely remembered. You curl tighter, pulling your rough tunic around your shoulders. Your stomach growls. Your skin itches. Something scurries past your foot. There is no sleep, only waiting, only surviving, until dawn. As the horizon finally begins to glow with the faintest thread of morning light, a new sound fills the air. Not the chants of priests or the commands of masters, but the rustle of wind across dry, empty fields. Something is wrong. The workers are not gathering. The water channels are dry. And you realize something has broken the cycle. Something has silenced the city. The drought has begun. The first sign is silence. No shouting in the fields. No splashing from the irrigation canals. No low hum of labor. Not from rebellion, not from rest, but from fear. The morning sun rises not into a sky of promise, but into a stillness that presses on your chest like a weight. You step outside and see it clearly now. The ditches are dry. Cracks stretch across the soil like spider webs. The barley fields are yellowing. The Euphrates itself has receded, its edges muddy and thin, its surface glinting with dead fish. You do not need to be a priest to know what this means. The gods are angry, so the people believe. The city changes overnight. Markets empty. People whisper more than they speak. Offerings increase. You see families leaving trays of food and jugs of water at shrines instead of their own tables. The priests say, "This is a test," that the gods are demanding more devotion, more sacrifice, more obedience. But beneath their robes and chants, even they look nervous. Food becomes scarcer. Your meals, already meager, shrank to nothing but hard bread and water barely cooled from the sun. The goats are restless. Some have been taken. You see fewer animals in the pens and more bones behind them. Your master grows more tense. His work suffers. Pots are cracking. Sales are falling. He begins to look at you differently. Hear him whispering to neighbors in the early hours, speaking of debts, of omens, of obligations to the temple. One night, he wakes you before dawn and tells you to follow. No words, just a gesture. You obey. Your legs are weak. Your eyes sting with dust. He leads you through the alleys, past closed homes, toward the base of the ziggurat. There, others have gathered. They are silent, thin, hollow-eyed. Some are dragging small carts. Others carry jars of oil, dried fruits, or pieces of jewelry. You understand now. This is not a gathering of faith. This is desperation. The temple needs appeasement. The priests step forward, dressed in red and black. They begin the chants. Incense chokes the air. The names of the gods are spoken again and again. Nana, Enlil, Utu. The crowd responds in unison, trained by fear. They raise their offerings. The priests accept some, reject others. Then they call for the living sacrifice. You try to step back. Your master grabs your shoulder. You look into his eyes and find no hate there, just hopelessness. You are his offering now. 2 temple guards seize you by the arms. You shout. It doesn't matter. The crowd doesn't flinch. Some even look relieved. It wasn't their child. It wasn't their wife. It wasn't them. You are led up the ziggurat one last time. The sun is merciless. The wind hot and dry. You see no clouds, no birds. The city sprawls beneath you, sick and shrinking. Even the rivers look like dying veins across the land. At the top, the priests anoint your forehead with oil. They whisper the names of the gods. You do not know what they say. You do not know what they see in your face. But they believe you are the key, the one to restore balance, the one to bring the rains. You are laid across a slab of warm stone. A priest raises a blade. The chanting grows louder. You close your eyes. You are not a time traveler anymore. You are a sacrifice. This was the price of survival in the first cities of man. Not technology, not wisdom, but blood. The Bronze Age did not welcome strangers. It consumed them, and if you came to learn, to witness, to understand, you now understand the most important truth of all. Your breath was never yours in this world. From the moment you arrived in Sumer, the clock began ticking, not forward, but backward, unwinding everything you believed about civilization, law, faith, and survival. The cities may have been grand for their time, the writing revolutionary, the architecture astonishing, but none of it was built with you in mind. None of it welcomed outsiders. The Bronze Age was not a dawn, it was a furnace. And the Sumerians, brilliant though they were, lived in a world of blood and dust, ruled by fear of the gods and desperation for control. To survive here meant to belong by birth, by ownership, or by surrender. You had none of those. You came here thinking this was the beginning of us, the origin of society. But in truth, it was the beginning of division. Between rulers and slaves, between gods and mortals, between those who knew the rituals and those who were crushed by them. And so your story ends not with discovery, but with disappearance. The city will forget you. The clay will dry. The world will move on. Because in ancient Sumer, the future only belonged to those who knew how to shape it with their hands, bleed for it in silence, and vanish when the gods demanded it. If this journey made you feel the weight of the past, the heat, the fear, the silence, then don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. What would you have done differently? Could you have survived or would history have buried you too? More eras are coming. More time travel trials await. Until then, choose your next leap carefully.